Mute participants. Okay. John Newport's hair is down to his.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. Hi, John.
Where? What?
I got some of that. I'm going to start reading. No, it's Chris.
Unmute the foundation.
Hi, John.
Hi.
I need to be muted.
Chris, did you see the couple of photos I sent today? I think you're muted.
Yeah, the foundation's muted.
Yeah, Dan, I saw the photos. I was happy to see that progress.
Yeah, the tank's in and on Monday, the crane is coming and the roof is going to be delivered. They should get that set by Monday, so.
Yeah,
They seem to be moving in the right direction, which is very encouraging.
Yeah, very, very encouraging. Thank you so much. Thank you for your diligence on that.
Oh, that's fine. No. I just didn't know if you had a chance to see him or not. That's all.
I did. That's great.
Okay.
Great progress. Hopefully this weather holds up for a little bit.
Yeah, if they could get, I'm sure we won't get a month, but if they could get a month, it would be great.
Can anyone in the audience that are participants hear us?
Yes, now.
I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Guys, please mute your mics on your end. There should be, yeah. We've got, looks like everyone is muted. John's open.
I'm open, yeah.
Yep, that's good.
And Gina's still open.
We have a participant, Gina. Gina, can you mute just to make sure everyone?
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, David's still.
Is that all? That's all we have right now, right? 5, 10, 15, 17, minus John. 16. Okay.
We're going.
Okay, welcome everyone. It's a minute or two after 7. Welcome to our monthly meeting. We'll start with member time. Does anybody in the audience, want to make a statement or have a question for us? Okay, if you do, raise your hand. All right, then, we'll call the meeting to order at 7:04. Roll call,
Okay, roll call. Pat McGrail,
present.
Bob Kohler,
Here.
John Eddie.
Here.
Dave Fuel is here. Bill Leisure,
Present.
Doug Henley,
Here.
and John Newport.
Here.
Yeah, electronic. We have everyone.
Electronically, yes.
We have everyone. Quorum is
Okay,
here.
quorum present. My next comment is for the board. We have 2 motions to add, under new business. One would be 13.2.4 to approve the volunteer application of Donna Corson for service on the landscape committee. And the second is 13.2.5 to approve transfers, from the operating surplus to the replacement fund. So I'd like to add those two, as 13.2.4 and 13.2.5 respectively. And, do I have a motion to accept the agenda as modified?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Motion by Doug, seconded by John Eddie. Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 16th board meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Doug,
Second.
second, Bill Lees, you got that one, John Newport.
Okay.
Okay, any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Before we get started, with the committee reports this evening, I did want to, apprise those who are in attendance at the meeting tonight, that, we want to announce that, effective today at 5 p.m., John Sabo will no longer be serving as the executive director at Hidden Valley. We appreciate John's effort over the last several months and wish him the best for he and his family and his future endeavors. The board has established a search committee to navigate the recruitment and hiring process. The board will be handling that on its own, without the intervention of First Service. And we anticipate that process will begin immediately as soon as Monday. And we hope to fill the executive director's position as soon as possible. During this interim position, we still are under contract with First Service. They have volunteered to provide any additional support that we request. And so, if needed, we'll be reaching out to First Service. Please feel free to continue to contact the foundation office for any business or assistance that you need. We appreciate everyone's patience during this transition, and we will certainly update the community with regard to any changes as we move forward. So I thank everybody for their cooperation with regard to that change, and we're going to keep on going and move to the treasurer's report. Bob?
Thank you, Pat. So I will go through the performance dashboard to kind of just touch on some of the financial highlights and non-performance measures as well. For the first quarter of our fiscal year, July 1 to September 30th, we're showing a small surplus of about $24,000. doing a little better than budget. Usually at this time of the year, we're showing a small deficit, so we've done well there in comparison to the prior year as well. So primarily, our current year expenses are less than budget by about $23,000. That was offset by some additional security expenses, though, related to the pool operation this summer. We've also had an increase in our $500 entrance fees due to the very significant number of sales of new homes this year, or of homes, I should say. The financial position of the foundation is still strong. Our investments total $2.492 million at the end of September 30th. Obviously, that's before any of our capital projects that are continuing throughout the year, but our portfolio has recovered nicely from the market downturn that occurred earlier this year, and our investment managers continue to do a good job of managing our investments. Our receivables is one of the things that I've always been concerned about, especially during this economic downturn, but in monitoring them, I watch them every week. I get a report on the delinquency status, and we continue to collect our receivables. In the over 90-day category, almost 90% of that is made up of 7 accounts. And one of them is a large account that is in an estate, which we're working diligently to try to get it resolved. Our capital budget, we have not spent a lot thus far through September 30th, but in October and November, there was some significant activity on the Imperial Road drainage project. That project is complete now, I think, or pretty close. And some other things are underway as well. So we're making some good headway there. We've actually saved a little bit of money on that Imperial Road drainage project. With the final contract price was about $87,000 on a budget of $135,000. So we've actually freed up a little bit of money that we might be able to use for some other projects within the current fiscal year. A note on our major contracts, our security contract, we did at the last board meeting approve Allied Barton, now U.S. Security, to continue as our security provider, and that's a 3-year contract, so that'll take us out into 2023. Looking at our maintenance department statistics, we've done a good job of clearing the work orders. We're back in the over 90% and under 10% for open work orders range. We are down currently 2 people in the maintenance department, 1 quarantining and 1 recovering from some medical issues, but we hope that they will both be back to work here very shortly. And then lastly, other non-financial measures that I always like to touch on. We continue to make good progress on increasing the number of email subscribers that we have, which is really critical to staying in touch with the homeowners. So we're up to, as of this week, 1,169 email addresses, and that's almost 90 more than where we were at this time last year. Additionally, we continue to see good activity, number of ACC permits issued. So I think that tells us people are continuing to invest in the community. And then I started looking at real estate activity here a couple of years ago, and you can see for the first 4 months of the year, July 1 through October 31st, courtesy of Mike Mikulich, we've sold 73 homes in that 4-month period compared to 29 in the same 4-month period last year. And there are currently 11, that's not a typo, there are 11 homes for sale on the mountain, which is 1% of the number of units here. So, I mean, there's obviously been a lot of activity and a lot of turnover and somewhat contributing to that. But in the 10 years that I've been the treasurer, that's the lowest I have ever seen that number. So, a couple other things that I'll point out quickly, as I always do, I touch on the Finance Committee and the Audit Committee. The Finance Committee will be meeting here very soon. We'll be doing our semi-annual review of our investments. We'll be gearing up for budget season. And in conjunction with the strategic long-range plan, there are a number of initiatives in that plan. So the Finance Committee is putting together a process whereby we can look at, what is the justification for those projects, what will they cost, what will return on investment be, et cetera. So to use kind of a screening system to be able to filter those for the board's approval. The Audit Committee met on the first Monday in November and approved the audit of our financial statements. The membership was supplied with a copy of those financials, and at tomorrow morning's annual meeting, there will be a review done of the audit in conjunction with an overall annual review of the fiscal year just ended June 30, 2020. And that concludes my treasurer's report.
Oh, thank you for that. Does anybody have any questions for Bob? If not, do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Jay Eddie?
Jay Eddie? Is there a
Second. I'll second.
Thanks, Joe Newport. Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We don't have an executive director's report this evening. I see Brian on the Zoom call. Brian, do you have a maintenance report for us this evening?
I do. I can run down through my report real quick if you'd like.
In the package.
If you would.
Okay. Same format as last time, same outline, and I'll run down it here very briefly. We'll start with the tree removal and trimming that's being performed continually by Paul Bunyan. They have approximately 2 more days left before winter sets in. They're going to continue that work starting on Tuesday next week, and then 1 day the following week after the holidays. And that should conclude our service until any emergencies that may arise over the winter time, or we'll catch the rest of the budget on the tail end of winter there. As far as our capital projects are concerned, road resurfacing, we completed that early summer. The South Ridge Center fencing replacement, we're waiting on designs, layouts, and specs of the South Ridge Center 2 building before we proceed in collecting bids for that. The retaining wall replacement in Eagles Ridge Terrace was completed at the end of October by Dependable Lawn and Landscape. The Imperial Road Phase 2 project, as Bob had mentioned, is complete. So that takes care of all the drainage on all of Imperial to this point. The Gardner Road lot project, which is the salt dome, the maintenance committee as well as the board have been working on the site plan layout. We did receive just this afternoon a revision of that site plan, and it has been distributed accordingly. Plan to meet on Tuesday of next week to figure out some of the final details of that and hopefully progressing forward. We've received from Gibson Thomas the engineering plans and specifications for the Ridgeview Road drainage project. The intent is to put that bid package together and ideally get that out to bid in the late winter months. Small tools and equipment, we haven't done anything there. If the need arises, we'll buy something, but not. And then just actually today as well, they finalized the install of the chemical controls for all 3 pools. Schmidt Supply, who supplies our chemicals, historically, I have to give him kudos. He did go above and beyond. He actually took our chemical feeders, took them back to his shop, rebuilt them, refurbished them, and then reinstalled them today. That was not under his contract. He did that just as an extra. As far as our maintenance teams and equipment, we're not in full winter mode yet, but we're on track. It kind of wants to swing back and forth between winter and summer all within 1 or 2 days. So we've got some equipment ready and some that's, can be used for other activities. And as far as our staff, at this point, I am the only one left. Everyone else is out on quarantine or long-term medical leave. So hopefully towards the beginning of next week, we'll slowly start looking more normal. And then work orders, as Bob touched, we've made a jump on them, got back on track, and I'd like to finish with JML Landscape Management. Their intent with fall cleanup is to be done with fall leaf removal by Thanksgiving, weather dependent, and that's all.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Brian?
Hey, Brian, I have a question. Where are we, or do you have planned, or has it already been taken care of, maybe meeting with Dependable to go over, the good, bad, and ugly from last year and where we're headed this year? Because I know that we've sort of tweaked a little bit our snow removal as far as, salting and that kind of stuff. So I would assume that you're either meeting with them, have met with them.
Yes. So last week I met with the snowplow drivers. There's one that's going to be retained, and they got two new staff members. So I met with them briefly, and then they did a tour themselves of the property. They do have our traction control map. They went over that during their tour. And just this morning, the leaders of the shoveling crews were on site. They dropped off their trailer with snow blower equipment and shovels down at the salt pile, and they were training their crew leads on, you know, the property and what needs to be done and where and how and so forth. So to answer your question, yes, we've been in communication with them.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
Okay, I don't think we have a community outreach report this evening, so we'll go on to committee reports. Bob?
Finance and audit already covered.
Okay, we have a page from the Architectural Control Committee. If anybody has any questions on that. Bill, do you have any comments, or just busy as usual?
Well, it's slowing down now because of the winter months. Nothing really drastic, no one's yelling at our committee. My young friend just started his project over repair of his house. He cut the trees down, he started breaking ground for it.
So Bill is referring to a new house that is being built.
Yes. First one in,
Long
can't
time,
remember.
long time.
So that's exciting,
On that side.
yeah.
Oh, I do have a correction on my house number. I'll call Vicky on Monday to change it. It should be 2315, not 2314. It's just minor, but. Okay.
Okay, we have no reports from maintenance, rules and regs, and social and rec. But I guess we all know how busy.
They're in the package.
Well, no verbal.
Oh, no, we're.
Okay, sorry. We also have a page from the Branding and Media Committee and the SLRP. I see Chris Humble out there. Chris, do you have a report for us this evening?
Thank you, Pat. I didn't submit a written report for this meeting, but I would refer everyone to the mailing that was distributed for tomorrow's annual meeting. That includes the year's report for the committee. And I wanted to thank especially John McGrail and Lisa Dorn for their efforts on behalf of the committee. And I want to thank the board for their support for this new committee and the work that we've done this year. And I want to thank Dave Fiola, John Wolf and the communications committee for their support. We've had a lot of new initiatives and some old ones like an election that needed to be brought to the attention of the homeowners, and they've done a great job in supporting that. So I just wanted to say that we don't have any written report other than that, which is included in the annual.
Okay, so good, thank you. And Landscape Committee, we do have a page. Dennis, do you have anything on that? Or should we just refer to your page?
No additional comments.
Okay, thank you very much. I know your committee's been busy as well. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the committee report?
So moved.
Second?
Jay Eddie?
Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Is someone prepared to give a report on the HV utility?
I can touch on that, and then, Dan, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you wouldn't mind supplementing a little bit. So a couple things with HV Utility Services. Under the terms of what was referred to as the McCloskey case, HV Utilities is required to file a 60-day status report. So they did file their most recent status report. The next one will be due here in December. Secondly, another component of that case was that HBUS had 1 year to cure the brown water issue. They're way beyond that now. A hearing was held in May to have a ruling on that, and that judge has still not ruled on that. However, in the interim, the company has moved forward with the construction of a water filtration plant, and as part of the strategic long-range plan, there is a water committee that is monitoring that very closely. And Dan, that's where I was wondering if you could maybe come in. I know you have been on site, you've been watching what's going on. Maybe you could give us a quick update on what's going on there.
Well, the project is progressing, not at the speed of lightning by any means, but it is moving forward. The tank was set today, which is a main component. The roof trusses are scheduled to be erected on Monday, and it should be under roof if everything goes as planned, as discussed this morning at 10 o'clock with Mr. Kettler. Should be under roof by the end of next week. The main pumps are still 2 to 3 weeks out for delivery. The electrical contractor has been notified. It's getting ready. He needs to get ready to get started. He has the instrument and controls information available. He has the components there. So I really do believe that by January, I'm sticking my neck out a little bit here, but I really do believe by January, it should be a functioning plant, not that it will be totally certified or agreed to by the regulatory agencies, but the construction for the plant should be pretty well behind us by January. I know small item door frames were delivered today. Windows are there. The ventilation systems are there. There's not much heating in the building. It's only a couple of gas heaters. There's one more masonry wall. The masonry wall is all the way up to the nailer, which will receive the trusses. There's a small amount of block that needs to be laid to make a office for the manager, which should not take much. But the fact that the tank was set today and now the backfill can go back in, I, for one, feel much more comfortable about that because that excavation was very deep and wide. So that's going in okay. But backfill should start. The slab needs to go inside the building, and that slab currently is scheduled to be next week. I'm not quite convinced they can do the slab underneath putting the roof up at the same time, but anyhow, that's the current plan. So things are moving along. You're right, it is behind schedule and continues to slip to a certain extent, but there's a lot of effort being put on it. They are also dealing with their lead carpenter, which has moved them back probably the best part of a week this week with COVID-19. He somehow his son was exposed at school, and they're concerned that he had brought that home, so he's quarantining. Can't argue with that, but they're moving ahead, and the major components, except for the pumps, are all on site or either readily available. So we are headed in the right direction, and I would say in January we should have the best part of an operating facility, if not I don't believe it'll be certified by then, but an operating facility.
Dan, thank you for your efforts and for monitoring this too. That's been, I think, really helpful. And for those of you that have been here for a long time, you'll know that this case goes, and our arguments for trying to get these water issues addressed go all the way back to 2004. And this is really, at least in my humble opinion, the first time we've seen a real effort by the utility operator to try to address this. So,
if I may just interject, yes, I think, and not because it's me, but because he's getting a lot of scrutiny. We have meetings every other week, and commitments are made in, week after week. Some of them are meant and a lot of them are not. So, he becomes aware of the fact that what he said was going to happen this week didn't happen, or what's going to happen in 2 weeks didn't happen. And then again, out of the 12 or 13 items we talk about every week, 6 of them happen and they get off the list, but at least somebody is looking over his shoulder rather than just letting it take its course. And I think that's the biggest, and not because of me, but because of the committee. I think that's the biggest plus that we have going on right now.
Hey, Dan?
Yes.
I'm ashamed not to know, but they were, HVUS was to have a Zoom call to help to meet their expected and required PUC annual meeting on the 18th. Are you aware, did that happen?
Yes, it did happen. And there was, I believe, 22 participants, 20 participants. So it did happen. And I will tell you, I thought it was compared to what I had heard on about the previous calls, the fact that we had lined up some questions for Mr. Kettler earlier and had dealt with them to some extent with him. I believe I think the meeting was very civil and it went in the right direction. And there was a couple people that had questions beyond what was submitted, but they were not anything that was out of order or weren't justified. So, and they were dealt with. And it was a relatively short meeting, but I believe there were 20 or 21 or 2 people on that meeting.
Okay, great. No, it's good to hear.
Hey, Dave, it's Rick Etling.
Say, Rick.
Just so you know, that meeting was just this past Wednesday, the 18th, for your records.
Yeah, I have it on. That's what I was looking at, and I never heard, any feedback from it. I just wanted to double check. I wasn't able to attend. I just wanted to make sure it happened, and if it did it go well? Sounds like it did. Thanks, Rick.
Well, it certainly sounds like the committee's building a bridge, to the extent that's possible, with this project. So we do appreciate all the time you've spent on it, Dan, and the rest of your committee. This is a big one.
Yes.
Okay, we do have a report from the Jefferson Township Committee. Thanks for going to that meeting, Chris. I think we've already had a Saltum update from Brian, so nothing additional there. As far as the Southridge Center building project, we are still waiting to get the response to our bid documents. We anticipate receiving a tabulation of those bids the first week in December. And we hope to have an announcement at our December meeting as to moving forward with that project. That's being optimistic, moving forward with that project. Okay, new business. Do I have a motion to approve the volunteer applications of Ron Pollock for the Recreation Social Committee, Thomas Zerzega for both Landscaping and Maintenance Committees, and Bill McGee for the Landscaping Committee?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Motion by John Eddie,
I'll second.
second by Bill. Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. John, do you want to say something about this before we
We
start?
probably need a little background
Yeah.
on this.
We have a series of motions coming up with regard to, a new parking, permit policy, and John Eddie, and others have been working hard on this. So, John, can I ask you to give everyone an update?
Yeah, for many, 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 many years since Hidden Valley Foundation has been in existence, there's always been a parking issue with the condos that face the ski slopes. So we're talking Highlands, we are talking the Summit Village condos, we're talking Oliver Way, Forbes Lane Beach, Tanyard, Gristmill, Keppel, Summit, Summit View Court, and Ridgeview Road. So this year, we are proposing a experiment that those places that I have just said, we are asking for the homeowners to supply the foundation with license plates for their cars, and then to apply for a parking permit during the winter. If security comes through at certain times during Saturdays and Sundays and finds a car that is not on the database, the car will be towed at the expense of whoever car that is. Now, what's brought this on? This is the first time Hidden Valley has had so many homes that have been bought, 74 this year. If you read the covenants, every place on this mountain has a different covenant for the amount of spaces that you have. For instance, the Heights has 1.5 cars per condo. Highlands condos have 1.5 cars per space. Other condos have 2. And it has to do with the fact that there's only a certain amount of spaces on the mountain that can be used for parking. The board is not having a shuttle this year because of COVID. This is an attempt to solve parking issues at the places that I've just talked about. So we are hoping from an experimental standpoint that we'll be able to maintain parking spaces for the owners of the buildings. And for those people that don't belong there, well, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to find some place to get your car because it will be towed.
Okay. All right, with that background, let's.
Excuse
move
me.
forward with-
Excuse me, I'm sorry to intervene, but what about people that Airbnb and we don't know what they're, if we own a property, shouldn't we be entitled to a space? I have three properties here at Hidden Valley, and my property up on Keppel is an Airbnb property. And how am I supposed to tell my guests that they can't park there?
That's not what this is saying. As the homeowner, you will be responsible for getting that information to the foundation. And if you fail as an owner of a B&B or Verbo or whatever, if you fail to give that information to your renters, and that information is not at the foundation, then unfortunately, those cars are gonna be towed.
How many spaces do each property get, John?
That's the wild part of this, is that every area is different. We go from 1 car to 1.5 spaces to 2 spaces. There is absolutely no consistency on the mountain. And unfortunately, that has to do with developer. And that's what we're stuck with right now. So this is part A. There's a part B and a part C and a part D over the next several years, which is going to require money, will require board approval if we're going to expand parking areas. So this is just part A of all this. But as the homeowner, you will be responsible for letting your renters know what has to be done to prevent their cars from being towed.
Hey Becky, have
Yes.
I've not ever used, there you go, you moved. I've not ever used Airbnb or a program like that. Do you have the ability to request, once you make a reservation, that they supply you with the information that John is requesting be brought to the office so that you can have a parking pass ready for them when they arrive?
There's times when I've flopped that place 5 times a week. And I want you to know, John, I realize this situation. I'm not complaining at all. I'll do whatever's necessary to help accommodate the parking situation there. So I'm not confrontational whatsoever. I just want to make sure that I understand the rules. Like, I thought maybe we could do a spot for each place, like you would have your own designated area. That way there would be no extra parking issues. And I don't know if I missed the brainstorming ideas for this, or I try to read the minutes, but, and I respect this decision and I'll do whatever it takes, but I don't know with privacy if I'm even allowed to ask for that information. But once they check in, I'll let them know that they have to give it to me or their car's gonna get towed. It's not an option.
Yeah, I think John said in the beginning that this is, how did you describe it?
This is an experiment.
It's an experiment.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think there's the attempt, I'm speaking out of school, so shut me up if I'm.
No, you're fine.
Okay. I think there's an attempt to with forward thinking on this, and assuming there's going to be some issues, knowing that we've had issues in the past. Okay, so this is an attempt to solve problems that we've seen in the past, and to try to make life for the condo owners and those folks that are slope facing, make their lives a little easier. I believe we have some motions coming up for signage that will help your area, and the awareness in your area, if I'm not mistaken, is that right? All that kind of stuff. So what will help will be communication, which we're gonna work on our end. But certainly from, your end back would help as well.
Maybe we could do like a Google Doc or something where we could punch in the the plates of who's going to be there. And that way there's no misunderstanding. I attended the last meeting where the candidates were getting interviewed, and it was a big discrepancy between parking trailers and, having snowmobiles there, which I am not an advocate because parking is so limited as it is. However, I want my guests to not get towed. Obviously, they're paying, a significant amount of money, and I want to make them happy, obviously, to keep my business going. So I'm open to suggestions, and I hope that, we can work together to make sure that it's as easy as possible to document their plate numbers, their make and model, and, we can, make it easy. We want people to come to the mountain, that's our goal. We're a resort.
Yeah, it's a mechanism. You're looking for a mechanism,
And it's coming.
and it's coming.
Awesome.
And
Can I
Becky,
comment?
We're not trying to be pain in the butts here, but
I don't take it that
with
way.
all the new homeowners, it is not fair to homeowners that there's a rental property next door, and that rental property brings 6 to 8 different cars when they only got one spot available.
Right.
Okay, and that's what has precipitated all this is we do not have enough parking spaces on the
I
mountain.
absolutely agree with you, John, and I'm totally on board with you. And I can even tell them they're welcome to come to my house. I have parking for 30 people. They're welcome to park extra vehicles on my property and, go head up on the mountain, and I'll shuttle them. I guess
So the
I have
other
to pick up
thing
my
is-
wine.
The other thing is, we've been looking for additional spots on the mountain to park additional cars. I think we're almost there. I think we have just about every place looked at where there can be extra cars, and that will be part of the communication. But it is not fair to homeowners when I live at the Highlands, but yet I can't park because somebody came in and parked and they're skiing.
Right. And I am totally with you because when my house books, I stay up at the Highlands. I want to be able to park my vehicle as well. So I absolutely support that. It's no complaint whatsoever. I just hope that we can make it an easy transition.
We are, and there will be a lot of communication coming out on this, but before we can get there is we're trying to get the approval to move ahead.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for your comment. So moving forward, is there a motion to enact an emergency reserve permit only parking policy for the Highlands Condo Association, the Summit Village Condo Association, and for the following streets: Oliver Way, Forbes Lane, Beach Lane, Tanyard Lane, Gristmill Lane, Keppel Lane, Summit Drive, Summit View Court, and Ridgeview Road?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Dave.
I'll second it.
Doug got that one, John Newport.
Okay.
Second by Doug. Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Do I have a motion to approve ordering and distributing parking permits as outlined within parking policy 15.1?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Bob.
Second.
I'll give it a report.
I'll give it. Second by John Newport.
Okay.
Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. A motion to approve towing and impounding of violating vehicles that are parked in violation of policy 15.1, the reserved permit-only parking policy, effective December 15th, 2020.
We'll make the motion.
Motion by Doug.
Second.
Second. Oh, Newport. Got you, Newport.
Okay.
Second by John Newport. Any questions on the motion?
I have a question.
Yes, Dave.
On towing and impound, how will, that's not on us, right? That we're gonna make a call?
We have a company that we are going to be contacting. It'll be the responsibility, if they're called by security, they will tow the vehicle to where it needs to go. It is then up to the individual owner of that car then to get it out of impound.
How far away will that be?
Somerset.
Can I ask
Because-
one more thing?
Because you have to have an impound that is with the legal aspects of Pennsylvania. So yes, there are other towing areas or towing companies immediately, but they do not have an impound area that meets the requirements of the state.
Do we understand what that fee will be?
No, don't know that yet. I do not know that yet.
Several hundred. I have, another like follow-up, like what if I'm staying there and one of my children come to visit? Like, they're not gonna be able to park there because their car's not registered? Like, where's the overflow parking going to be?
Becky, that's all coming. That will
Okay.
all be coming.
Okay, you gonna give a first warning or are you just automatically gonna tow? Are we gonna put
No,
signs
no.
up?
We're gonna do enough communication over the next 3 weeks that everyone will know what's going on within the foundation. We've talked about this. Well, if we give a warning, yeah, we'll give a second warning. The reality is, if we tow, I guarantee you, it'll be all over the mountain. There won't be issues anymore.
Let
And I'm
me,
sorry to do that, but we have restraints that we're trying to fix, that's all.
let me ask a question in response to maybe Becky's concern. Our unit up here at Keppel, for instance, we would get, I don't know, 2 parking passes. So if someone's going to rent their unit and they leave the parking passes in the unit, and that person who rents the unit can then put the parking passes hanging from their mirror in the car. Of course, the next problem is going to be they won't leave them when they go. They'll end up having to be replaced. But is that an option? I'm not sure where this program stands, but would that be an option?
Dan, they will leave them if they think they have to pay a $25 replacement fee or they'll
Okay.
leave them.
All right.
These people are very responsible.
So perhaps, would I be issued, I'm at Keppel, would I be issued 2 parking spaces or 1 or 3 or whatever it is? And if I would rent my unit, which I do not, but if I would rent my unit, they would be in the unit for them to hang on the mirror of their car. And then when they leave, they would have to leave it back, or to Becky's point, they would have to pay a $25 replacement fee.
Go ahead, Doug.
If you have a renter, the
Can I ask a
renter
question?
Hold on, Ron.
The renter is gonna get a parking pass through the website or through the office. Those renters aren't gonna be hanging your hanger on their car, because your hanger's tied to specific vehicles. So if you have 4 cars, if you live in Pittsburgh, you have 4 cars, you can put your 4 cars on your hanger. So whatever car you drive up here and park, you put the hanger on it, your hanger matches the vehicle that you are in. When you have a renter, it'd be the same thing, except now the renter is gonna apply, again, through the website of the office. They will get a pass that will be valid for the 3 or 4 days they're up here. They'll put it on, their front windshield. It'll be sitting there on the dash, and it'll be visible, so when security goes by, they go, yay, verily, this is valid parking. For the other question is, if you have guests, there's also guest parking permits. We've identified overflow parking over the entire mountain that's available. We identified 40 spaces that are available. Those will be on first come, first serve. So if all of a sudden you're having Thanksgiving and 22 grandmas, aunts, and nephews all show up, in theory, you could get 11 or 12 passes, assuming those lots or those parking spaces are still available. So first come, first serve on guest parking. And then we're gonna have to see how this goes and go, okay, do we need more parking or not? Is this the right level? But we've worked hard to identify literally every space on the hill.
So Becky, that should answer your question on if your kids come, right? I mean, if you know they're coming, you can get a guest pass for them while they're here, something like that. Is that what you're thinking?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, but they're gonna have to park in where guest parking is permitted.
Right, so,
Not at the unit, where guest parking is
yeah,
permitted.
if it exceeds your unit's allotted parking spaces, then they'll have overflow parking, which is where they'll park. Go ahead, Ron.
So is there going to be any signage at these places in the parking lots kind of explaining? Because communication breaks down, you know that. It's nice to say everybody's going to know, but is there going to actually be signage? Because this is customer service 101. We're actually going to tow a visitor and charge them probably $150 on their first trip to Hidden Valley because someone didn't tell them, and we just told them, hey guys, I don't know about you, but that's customer service 101. That's sad, but
Hey, Ron?
I hope there's signage.
Ron, if you
Yes.
stick around for the next 30 seconds to 45 seconds, we're gonna answer that.
All right. See?
The next
Hey,
motion.
Yeah, we had
great-
a motion.
delay. Thank you.
Okay, let's keep going.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the
Oh,
proposed?
hold on.
We did.
Parking enforcement, we gotta,
Approve it.
all in
All
favor?
right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Okay, I need a motion to approve ordering and posting regulatory signs for policy 15.1, the reserved permit only parking policy.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Doug,
Second.
second by Dave. Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Order.
I'm opposed.
Becky, I know where you live.
I just feel like there's other options, but I want to be a friendly resort. I don't want to tow people. I mean, I realize you're in a terrible bind, but I don't really live there. I have parking here, and my kids will have a place to park. But people that own like 3-bedroom, I have a little 1-bedroom condo. They're only going to park one spot. But these other people that have 3 bedrooms, like, of course they're going to have 2 or 3 vehicles coming in. I'm just, I'm just opposed to it, but go ahead and move on. I'm not the majority, so that's fine.
Okay. 13.2.4 is a motion to approve the volunteer application of Donna Corson for service on the landscape committee.
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second.
Motion by Doug, seconded by John Eddie. Any questions on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. I need a motion to approve the transfer of our operating surplus to the replacement fund in the amount of $140,000.
I will make that a motion.
I will second that.
Motion by John Eddie, second by Bob Kohler.
I'll make a quick comment here too.
Yeah.
This has been our standard practice to, after the end, the audit is performed and we know exactly what our year-end surplus is. We typically move that into our replacement fund. That practice over the past several years has helped us to manage our assessments because we've been able to grow our replacement fund. So it's a good financial management practice.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So ordered. I just did want to make an announcement. As everyone is aware, the foundation is sponsoring the Children and Youth Services Santa's Gifting Tree. All the initial, I believe, 24 names have all been taken, but we've been able to add 12 more names. So if anybody is interested or hasn't taken a tag yet, you're able to do that online. And 4 of those 12 names belong to one family. So if anybody hasn't already done so, we welcome you to participate in that project.
The need in Somerset is great.
And the need in Somerset is great. That's what Doug just said. Okay. Our next meeting date, our monthly meeting is December 18th, 2020. I hope you're all able to join us tomorrow for the annual meeting. It will not necessarily be a business meeting. We have a pretty full agenda, a number of presentations, and we hope that you'll all come back and listen to what everybody has to say. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Motion by John Newport, second by Bob. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Hey, everyone, thank you for participating this evening.
And I'll just have a real quick one before you guys go and share it with your neighbors. We have 4, 5 PowerPoint presentations tomorrow. You may or may not be able to see those real well if you're logging in by phone, or if technology fails us, we won't be able to get them on. What we have done is set up a redundant site or a landing page on our website that houses all of those reports that will be given tomorrow. So if for whatever reason, if we don't get them up correctly or you can't see them on a phone, you can follow them along either prior to or while the meeting is going on. There's a separate spot for that. So it was in your weekly update, a link to that to take you there. So we have one, I think we have this financial one still to upload. That'll get done probably tonight or first thing in the morning. So that'll be there for a resource as a backup. That's all I've got.
Okay. Dave, do you want to lead the meeting?
And what's time of adjournment?
7:53.
7:53.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Hold it, Dave.